Welcome into a special edition of Payoff Pitch. We are Action Network's Major League Baseball betting podcast presented by BetMGM. Brendan Glasheen joined by Sean Zerillo and Tanner McGrath for Monday night's Home Run Derby going down at All-Star Week in Arlington, Texas at Globe Life Field. We've got 8 candidates, 8 players in the pool like usual. Just rifle through some of the names. Pete Alonso's your favorite. Marcell Ozuna, Bobby Witt Jr., Adolis Garcia, Gunnar Henderson, Teoscar Hernandez, Jose Ramirez, and Alec Boehm to round out the field at 16-1. New format this year in the Home Run Derby, new rules. They're scrapping the bracket format, so now you've got the top 4 sluggers from the first round. They will advance to the semis. In the semis, the 4 hitters then will be seeded based on their first round home run total for head-to-head matchups, and then the winners reach the finals, so on and so forth. First round and semifinals will last 3 minutes with a maximum of 40 pitches per hitter. They will get a bonus period with 3 outs, with each pitch either being a home run or an out. And then the finals will feature a 2-minute round, maximum of 27 pitches with the same bonus period to follow. The idea is to reward home run efficiency over the volume of pitches. I think the idea also is they want to speed this thing up. And I think folks go back and forth because there's so much going on. There's not much going on. Like, they've got the stage, baseball, but I kind of get it. They don't want this thing going until midnight. So there you go. There's the framework. So it leads us to best bets. Sean Zerillo with the outright winners in mind. We'll take this wherever you'd like. We'll do a long shot segment as well and some final bets like we normally do. What do you got for a best bet?
Well, theoretically, Brendan, it actually could go on forever because with the bonus round home runs, you now get up to 3 outs. So if somebody doesn't hit an out in the bonus round, we just play Home Run Derby forever. So the Derby actually, in theory, could just go longer.
Yeah, this is true.
Right. So I think the change from the timer to the timer with a maximum of 40 pitches is huge because last year it was chaotic and impossible to follow. And I looked at Jose Ramirez's Home Run Derby from 2 years ago. I looked at Pete Alonso's Home Run Derby from last year. Ramirez's pitcher just got 40 pitches in within the 3-minute timer. He was doing 13 a minute. He paused after like a minute. He was right at 15 pitches. Or he paused at like the minute and a half mark, right at 15 pitches. And then he ended up exactly 40 as the clock expired. Pete Alonso last year, he was at 40 pitches at the 2-minute and 10-second mark with 50 seconds remaining. And then he actually heated up after that point. He wasn't even, I think he had 13 home runs through his first 40 pitches. Jose Ramirez had 14 through his first 40 pitches. So as this format continued to go, guys just got more comfortable telling their BP pitchers, throw it as often as you can. If I'm not ready to swing, I'm not going to swing. So right. I think you have to understand that Pete Alonso is going to take a much more measured pace in this Derby. He's going to pause probably between pitches, and he's probably going to perform a lot better than he did in the Derby last year. I think he was rushing. I think a lot of guys were rushing just to swing as often as they could. So with regards to the total number of home runs in the competition, all of the totals, there's been a significant adjustment in the market. Last year, there were 341 home runs hit in the Derby. 2 years ago, 291. The over-under for total home runs hit in this Derby is 269. I think you have to go over or pass. I think it's probably been adjusted down too far. But that said, the total home runs for round one, the round one leader is 26.5. And based on, the fact that you're only getting 40 pitches, you probably need to hit 24 of the 40 pitches for home runs and then put 3 out in the bonus round. So that seems a little bit more on point, probably with where it should be. But in terms of like totals that clearly stood out to me as being off, and this is something that Tanner had mentioned to me, and then I went back and watched this Derby, and Jose Ramirez a couple of years ago was my lowest ranked of the 8 players in the field. He's my lowest ranked of the 8 players in the field this year. He doesn't stand out on any category except for maximum exit velocity, but every other batted ball metric, Statcast metric, bat speed metric, he ranks near the bottom of this field or at the bottom of this field. And he also ranks basically outside of the top 80 players. He's 43rd amongst all players in blast per swing. He's 11th at maximum exit velocity. Everything else, every data point that I use, he's 117th at bat speed. He's nowhere near the rest of this field. So he hit, as I said, 14 home runs and 40 pitches in exactly 3 minutes 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. His over-under this year is 19.5 and as high as 20.5. 19.5 at plus money, 20.5 at minus 115. I think either of those are tremendous bets I think even with the bonus time, Jose's max here is probably 17 or maybe even 18 home runs at that. I would expect him to bat right-handed again. This entire field is mostly right-handed hitters. There's one lefty in Gunnar Henderson, but the park factor for Globe Life Park, I always go back and forth on which
Field,
one is.
you got it right. Field.
Yeah,
Yep.
I always go back and forth on which one is park and which one is field, the new or the old. So I think Jose Ramirez, the under a clear bet, but then as Tanner and I are going to discuss later, any ways that you can probably bet against Jose advancing or taking other guys at plus money against them. If you see anybody in a matchup with a plus money sign against Jose Ramirez, and Alec Bohm, I think, is the one guy that is plus money, I'm probably going to be betting against them. So, I think the upside is so limited with his batted ball profile. He's great at pulling the ball. He's great at hitting the mountain game. But when it comes to a competition like this, it's a very low ceiling.
Yeah, with no bracket, we won't have an official head-to-head, but there could be some head-to-head markets available, right?
Some books just have every first round, player versus player, and you have 7 matchup options for each player. So
like kind of like golf,
pricing those out.
Yeah, kind of like golf, right?
Yep.
So, all right, very good. And just to be clear, hitters will receive an extra out if they hit a home run 425 feet or greater.
And Ramirez, it's again worth noting, he only hit one over 440 2 years ago. Like he only got half the bonus time. He really struggled. He got them out, but even the ones he was getting out weren't going particularly far. So there's a lot working against them in terms of clearing 19.5 or especially 20.5.
All right. So a single player home run total in round 1 for Jose Ramirez. Tanner McGrath, what do you got for a best bet? Home run derby.
Yeah, I love the J-Rom look, and we'll be adding a lot more later. But for my best bet in the home run derby on Monday night, I am taking the Southpaw. And so we got new bat tracking data this year. Average bat speed, average swing length, fast swing rate, which is basically just the percentage of swings with the bat speed over 75 miles per hour, number of squared up blasts, etc. Of course, this data is only available for the 2024 season, but I went back and just looked at past Derby winners with regard to how they do in this data this season. So 2023, Vladdy Jr., 75.5 mile per hour average bat speed, 53% fast swing rate. 2022 Soto, 75.5 mile per hour, 61%. 2019 and 2021 Alonso, 75 miles per hour, 52% fast swing rate. 2017 Judge, 76.8 miles per hour, 72% fast swing rate. And 2016 Stanton, 81 mile per hour and a 98% fast swing rate. These are all top 15 league-wide marks, right? Judge ranks 4th in all of baseball in average bat speed. Stanton leads every baseball player in average bat speed, average swing length, and fast swing rate. Also, among non-winners, if you guys remember who hit the most home runs in the first round last year, Julio Rodriguez with a ridiculous 41. His average bat speed this year is 76 miles per hour, and his average fast swing rate is 58%. The only Derby winner in the past decade with an average bat speed under 75 miles per hour this year is Bryce Harper in 2018, but maybe he had a really fast swing back then. He's obviously really strong, and he was younger back then, so we don't really know. I thought that maybe swing length could have something to do with all this, but Adolis Garcia has the longest swing length in this year's field, and he managed only 17 first-round home runs last year, knocked out in the first round by Randy Arozarena, who has, by the way, a slightly higher average bat speed, and length isn't entirely consistent with bat speed. Like Soto and Alonso have somewhat shorter swings, so I kind of threw that out. Ultimately, look, the Derby is a bit of a crapshoot, right? Especially betting it. But I think that betting the Derby could be about betting the guys with the best possible swing inputs. And ultimately, this event is purely about who can hit meatballs the farthest, right? It's not really about in-game power or who has the most homers up until this point. I think we're just looking for guys with Thor's hammer as opposed to anything else. For example, who was the biggest disappointment in last year's Derby? It was Mookie Betts, who is a good in-game home run hitter, but checks in with an average bat speed under 70 miles per hour, which would be the lowest in this year's field. So I think, and the way I'm going to bet this Derby, is that bat speed is the exact statistical input we are looking for. If you can move your bat faster and harder than everyone else, you probably have the best chance of mashing the most BP pitches, right? That's what history seems to be saying. So with all that in mind, who leads all Derby contenders in average bat speed this season? It's Gunnar Henderson, the southpaw, who enters this competition around 5-1 with an average swing speed of 76 miles per hour. He also leads the field in fast swing rate, 61%, and blasts, which is something Zerillo talked about, 111 this year, which ranks 4th among all baseball players this season. Blast is basically means squaring a ball up with a minimum swing speed, and usually that minimum swing speed is around 82 miles per hour. And if you look at guys around him in that blast category, he's just behind pass winner Judge. He's just ahead of pass winners in Vladdy and Soto, and he's just ahead of last year's first round darling Julio. He also has the highest average exit velocity in the field, 95 miles per hour. And also, I believe the deepest part of the field in Arlington is 407 feet. Henderson has 17 batted balls this year, hit at least that distance. That's tied for the 3rd most in baseball and tied for the most in the field this year with Marcell Ozuna. And among all hitters in the field on those specific batted balls, Henderson has the highest average bat speed, 78 miles per hour. And so all of that is why I really like Gunnar in this competition to win the whole thing or to advance to the second round, which I think you can get under minus 150 at most books. You could also bet on him to lead the first round in homers if that's your thing. You know, I think that's also around 5-1, probably consistent with the market pricing. You could also bet him to go over his first round home run total, which I believe is set at 22.5 at plus money at BetMGM. Anyway, you want to back Gunnar, I like it. I'm just going to take him to win the whole thing, though.
Tanner, I gotta push back on the final two, the home run leader for the first round and the over for the first round, because where he's batting based on the order of players, his floor is lower because all he has to do is get into 4th place and then his round is over.
That's a good point. I didn't think about that. That's a good point,
Sean. Gunnar to lead he almost has no chance to lead the first round in home runs.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's a donation.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's not a bad handicap at all if you were just throwing him out there in a random order. Like, I totally get it. But based on the order in which they're going, I want to be very clear to people. Like, he almost has no chance to lead the first round in home runs. I don't even think he can. If he's batting last, he can't.
Yeah, that's a good point.
He just has to get into 4th, and then it's over.
Yeah, so don't bet that, but I do like Gunnar.
They do reseed them after round 1, but what's the incentive? What's the incentive to gas out once you've already advanced?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So yeah, top four from the first round. That's all that matters, right? So as long as he gets into that top 4,
and then it reseeds, but like, why keep going? It doesn't help you.
Right. Good point.
It's head to head from that point. It doesn't carry over. Nothing carries over. So
410, and it's 410 dead center off to the left and 407 to the right with the new dimensions with the now that it's an indoor park, and we think they'll be inside. They've been inside for the last couple of weeks for Rangers home games. So, okay, they're your best bets. Let's go to a favorite long shot. These should be fun. I'm curious what markets these guys dive into. Zerillo, what catches your eye?
We might have the same bets here. So Gunnar over Bobby Witt and Bobby Witt over Gunnar. And make sure you shop around for these, because at one book, 15-1. At another book, 50-1. Not kidding. Same bet, different books, 15-1, 50-1. Make sure you shop around. These exotics, these exact result props, these should be 30-1 or better. Minimum. Do not lay under, or do not take under 30-1 on any of these matchup props. How I rank out this field. So Tanner talked about Gunnar's electric swing metrics, his swing data. Easily the best batted ball speed, blasts, adjusted exit velocity. But then Bobby Witt is the one who's shown the better StatCast metrics in terms of hitting the ball hardest most consistently, or I should say hitting the ball furthest, hitting his average home runs the furthest, hitting the furthest home run in the field. I find it fascinating that the longest home run odds, Bobby Witt was like plus 195 and everybody else is like 4-1 or better. He is the longest home run on the season. I didn't think it would be that much of a discrepancy, but everywhere you look, domestic, offshore, he's like, I don't want to say a heavily favorite because he's not odds on. I didn't think he would be first. I thought Pete would be first in odds for that probably. I didn't think Bobby would be like clear first choice for longest home runs. If you want to talk about automatically qualifying for the bonuses in every round, absolutely. But the highest max EV in the field, I think bat speed is probably the first or second most important stat. Absolutely, as Tanner mentioned. for judging home run derby participants. I think max EV is probably the second because it's just telling you the power ceiling. I think bat speed is more indicative of floor. I think it means that Gunnar probably has the highest chance of advancing to round 2. And absolutely, Gunnar minus 145 to make the semifinals. Big thumbs up on that. That was very close to being my best bet. I think Gunnar has the highest floor in this field. But Bobby Witt, in terms of like across the board numbers, he's basically third in all of the swing speed metrics, second or third in all the swing speed metrics, and first in all the Statcast metrics. Gunnar is first in all the swing speed metrics and like second, third, fourth in all the Statcast metrics. So I really like both kids, both shortstops from the American League. And as I said, Gunnar over Witt, 50-1, Witt over Gunnar, exact result, 43-1. Like both of those bets. I like Gunnar to advance to round 2 at minus 145. Witt at minus 150, I like too, but I have Witt outrights. Again, like another long shot is my actual pick to win the Derby, which is Bobby Witt. I gave him out at 8-1 earlier in the week. I don't know if I was responsible with that pick for the line dropping, but it did drop by the next morning. It's now down to plus 550. I wouldn't take that past plus 500, but they're my two favorite contenders in here. Statistically, Marcell Ozuna absolutely in the mix. Not going to be rooting for Marcell Ozuna for many reasons. But I think Ozuna is absolutely a viable selection. But to me, 2 of the top 3 clear contenders, and I think there are 3 clear top contenders, aside from the fact that Pete Alonso has won this twice. American League minus 110 over National League, another bet worth considering as well, just because my 2 favorite guys that actually win this competition based on how their metrics line up and stand out compared to everybody else, AL minus 110 fine with. But I think those exact Bobby Witt over Gunnar Henderson and Gunnar over Bobby result props are my favorite long shots for this. And I think Tanner has some agreement there too, but just want to be very clear, like don't take below 30-1 on any exact result prop. You should be finding, good numbers on these, not 15-1, not 20-1.
Would you also encourage, I'm just asking, so you picked the league of the winner. What about league with most total Derby home runs? It's a little bit longer, minus 120, but does that correlate or no?
Gunnar hitting last hurts that. I'm not
right.
sure.
It goes back to that, right?
Yeah, I need to think about the exact order. I don't know who's hitting 7th. I'd have to think about the order, and that's what's made this tough. Like thinking about the over/unders for specific players. You kind of have to figure out like where they're batting in that first round order. Jose is batting amongst one of the first people. I know he's going to get his full allotment, but I've just seen him do it before, and I don't think he can get past 20 home runs and 40 pitches plus whatever bonus pitches he gets. So yeah, I'm mostly like kind of hesitant on the totals, but the Jose one really stood out to me. And we will do some more analysis tonight with regards to the actual math on like, I want to go back and watch some more rounds from the 2023 Derby. Julio hit 41 home runs in the first round last year. Did he see like 70 pitches? I don't remember, like how many pitches this guy threw, but 41 in 3 minutes is bananas. Jose Ramirez barely saw 40 pitches in 3 minutes. I think you got the bonus time too, but you understand what I'm saying.
We were all on a balcony in New York City. That might be why you were distracted.
He crushed Pete. That was my best bet for the Derby was Julio, and he absolutely just destroyed Pete. That was glorious.
And by the way, I went and looked at these round 1 head-to-heads. Jose Ramirez, I mean, he's a dog. He's a significant dog in all of the head-to-heads. So
yeah, I take Bohm though, and I think Teoscar minus 145 against them is probably a good bet too. Teoscar's 5th and Bohm is 7th for me, and I have Jose 8th.
Okay. All right, Tanner, what do you got? You're echoing Zerillo in some shape or form here, right? For a long shot.
Yeah, I'm pretty much going to have the exact same long shot. And the reason why is that my best bet for this Derby is Gunnar Henderson. And on Friday's Mega Futures pod that Sean and I did, he gave out his early home run Derby pick, which was Bobby Witt Jr. And I said, I love my handicap and I love his handicap. So why not put them together in a long shot wager? There's a Witt to beat Gunnar out there at, I think Sean said 40-1. There's 50-1. There's a Gunnar to beat Witt around the same price. Just take both of those. I just want to add a few things about Bobby because we talked about the other 2 guys. You're right. He ranks up there in all of the important metrics, specifically for me, average bat speed and fast swing rate. I think he has the third highest marks in the field. Only Henderson and Alonso have more. He also has 104 blasts this season, which is the second most in the field, just behind Gunnar. And again, right in line with all of those past winners. Witt also, a couple notes that I thought were interesting. He has the highest difference between his expected home run mark and actual. 21.2 expected homers, 16 actual. He also has, Sean, you mentioned he just hits all of his home runs outside of the park, right? 12 no doubt homers this year, which is a homer that's a home run in all 30 parks. That is the sixth most in baseball and most in the field. Henderson and Alonso are second in the field, each with 9. Witt has 11 batted balls, at least 410 feet. That's third most among players in this field, and a 76.5 mile per hour average bat speed on those batted balls. And like you said, Sean, highest max exit velocity in the field and the longest home run. However you want to play it, those two are my finalists as well.
I think they're like, in terms of the best outcome for Major League Baseball, Witt and Henderson final is it, right? I think it's clear.
The young guns.
They're the two biggest potential stars that are in this competition, if not maybe even at the All-Star game. So yeah, this is the ideal outcome for Major League Baseball, but the stats say they're also the two best contenders potentially. I don't want to discount Marcell Ozuna. I'm just no interest in betting on Ozuna. And obviously Pete has the history, but Pete's metrics have taken a dive this year. And I feel like he's almost putting too much pressure on himself trying to win.
Alonso, I believe, has the lowest average exit velocity in this field this season, which is surprising to say. So I think he's overpriced. I think Marcell Ozuna is also just a tad overpriced based on bat speed. But yeah.
Yeah, and just to echo your points from earlier, I tried to look at swing length too, and it didn't seem like there was anything to me that correlated either. So it was a data point I wanted to use. I threw it out.
Okay, I think that's it, right? You guys are good? I think
one more. So longest home run, under 484.5. It was 484 last year. Luis Robert hit the 6th longest home runs of the night, including 144. 2 years ago, 482 in Dodger Stadium was the long. They're going to be indoors this year. To me, that knocks the ball down further. So roof closed, under 484.5, I think is the play, I think.
And I just want to add a few notes about Jose Ramirez because... yeah, I'm right in line with Zerillo. I am fading him in this competition in every way possible. Just circle around to Mookie Betts, right? He had an average bat speed under 70 miles. He has an average bat speed under 70 miles per hour, and he struggled in this competition last year. J-Rom has the lowest average bat speed of anyone in the field, 71.5 mile per hour. That's actually below the MLB average, and now he's hitting in the friggin' home run derby. Also, if you listen to this podcast, you probably know we've mentioned it a lot. The big changes to the Guardians Park factors this season, they chopped off those huge chunks of their upper deck bleachers in favor of standing rooms with views of the city behind. They removed a bunch of the shipping containers that used to be rented out for corporate standing room terraces. All of that has essentially allowed more wind into the park, causing a drastic uptick in Cleveland's park factors. I mean, Progressive Field went from bottom 10 in home run factor the past 2 seasons to top 5 this year. And I think Jose Ramirez has really benefited from that. He has 4 home runs this year with an average exit velocity below 95 miles per hour, including one that was under 93 miles per hour with a 25-degree average launch angle on a soft changeup from Bailey Ober that sailed over the right field fence at Progressive. That ball traveled 346 feet. Over the past 3 seasons, only 2 other balls were hit at Progressive with that same combination of launch angle and exit velocity. Gary Sanchez hit one that was a 320-foot flyout. Bobby Witt hit one that was a 330-foot flyout. All the Guardians hitters, but especially Jose Ramirez, are getting an extra 15 to 20 feet of ride on their batted balls thanks to these changes. And among the top 10 home run hitters this season, Ramirez is part of them. He is the only one with a barrel rate under 10% and an average exit velocity under 90 miles per hour. Like you said, Sean, the rest of his batted ball profile isn't that pretty. He's clearly overvalued in the home run department, and you put him in a competition that negates in-game power in favor of pure swing inputs that he has not really shown. And I think he's really going to struggle. You can take him to under in his first round home runs. You know, the plus money picks against him with Alec Boehm, and I also like Teoscar Hernandez. I think that under 150 is good. So whatever you're comfortable with, J-Rom seems like an easy fade in this competition.
All right, gents, good stuff. Programming note, we will have a live YouTube version of Payoff Pitch at 5 o'clock Eastern time on Monday. So if you're listening in the wee hours of the morning, first thing Monday morning, we are recording Sunday night, full disclosure, 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern time, we will do a live show previewing the Home Run Derby. I think these guys, you're both going to be on this, right? I believe, right?
Yeah.
We'll be there.
Okay. Zerillo and Tanner are there. I'll be there. I think we have one more guest. I can't remember who it is. BJ Cunningham will join us. Very good. He's all soccered out. So now he's focused on the Derby. So myself, Zerillo, Tanner, BJ Cunningham, 5 o'clock Eastern, live show at 5 o'clock, Payoff Pitch. Very similar to our Action Island shows you might tune into during the football season and during the basketball season. So we will have that for you at 5 o'clock Eastern, Monday, July 15th. Be sure to rate and review. 5-star ratings and review are appreciated on the Payoff Pitch podcast. And we'll be at it again. We'll have a full all-star game, just the game itself. We'll have a preview of that coming your way first thing Tuesday morning ahead of the all-star game. So there you go. For Sean Zerillo, Tanner McGrath, Brendan Glasheen, thanks for tuning in, folks, to Payoff Pitch. We are Action Network's MLB betting podcast presented by BetMGM. Enjoy the Derby. Hope you can join the live show, and we'll talk to you again for the All-Star game tomorrow.